Hello and welcome to Camberg. This is Dresden's Tale, episode 50, chapter 48 of volume 2. This is the show where we follow Dresden Fane, leader of a small band of misfits, despite his best efforts to escape them. Our story exists in the violence of the Keld culture. Oh yes, there's action, eventually. We just haven't got there yet. I'm your guide on this industrious journey, Lewis Nichols. We've suffered a love story, pretended not to cry at its tearful end. We've sympathized with a grumpy dwarf as he tried to escape the pain and eventually learned to let it go. Volume 2 will always be important to us. I bet you don't know who they are yet, but we have met two iconic villains in Dresden's life, and they're going to be around for a while. There are no easy answers in the tale. Along the way, we've met a lot of interesting people, haven't we? Some of them have accidentally gotten their own voices, and you've probably even come to hate a few of them. Slow Talk Donald isn't so bad, but Orn is about to drive me nutty. Liz sounds like a dude half the time, and Karen is just a slightly more laid-back Dresden. Don't count on consistency. I'm your forever noob, and it's a long way to the top of the YouTube mountain. We've talked about some cool stuff, too. Honestly, there was going to be a test, but I couldn't afford the postage to mail them all out, so you get off light. No essays about duodenarism, no multiple choice questions about ship design, no fill-in-the-blanks about economics and ethnicity. Don't act like you're happy about it. If you don't have to take a test, you're not getting any XP. End of the trail, adventurers. One more episode to go, and we really should get to it before we celebrate. It's Ebba's 21st, 2,052 years after the fall. It's Heroes' Day, Donald told the assembly of warriors. He had his packs strapped over his back where a saddle might go. To his man back was fixed a plain-looking knapsack. He carried all the things he could have been said to possess, everything he carried for the clan. Dresden grunted. Heroes' Day was 2 weeks ago. Oh yeah, Fanghorn started. Leave it to the Campbells to mess up the calendar. I think it's different around these parts. They don't seem to take the Langvecka too seriously anyway. Dresden shifted his weight. Donald gave a huff. Could just be their entire city is in a shambles. Could be, the dwarf didn't see a reason to argue. Let's give it another go. He looked at his companions before turning around to face the gate. Stone Clan strong! We fight! We fight! We fight! The others answered, more or less in unison. Stone Clan strong! We're here! We're ready! Fight! 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 Stone Clan strong! We are stone! We are stone! We are stone! The knot of 6 warriors stood well away from the gate, very near the back edge of the square. They'd started much closer, but Campbell soldiers pushed him back twice. However, the band was no longer alone. Every time they chanted, more warriors came to stand with them. Some were Stone Clan, many were not. A few were in fact Campbells passed over for duty. There was more binding the protesters together than making them distinct. They all carried everything they owned, and they were eager for war. Whether any of them understood what that meant would be proven later. They've reversed the flow, Donald pointed. It wasn't planned, was it? Karen stepped up to see better. I don't think this is planned. At the gate, a column of wagons and warriors came to a clumsy halt, making room for traffic to come from the other side. Wagons led the way, couriers mixed in with them. As soon as the runners were clear, they made for their destinations at a run. One man went straight for the gate's command post. Oh, he looks excited. Maybe this is it. Karen grabbed a big bag of bread and cheese off the ground, ready to move. Fanghorn gave a good, solid Minotaur snort. Oh, yeah, you say that every time. The command post sent out their own runners in 3 different directions, but nothing else had changed. Meanwhile, lines of heavy infantry waited for their turn to pass. From the banners, they showed to be divisions of the Campbell militias of Agamar, Lorne, and Biona. That looks like a lot of proles coming through, Ralph observed. That's 1,000 men. Donald was looking at the line of warriors now waiting to cross over. Why would they hold up warriors for proles? Doesn't look like 1,000 to me. The Aquirta had to physically turn Dresden's head down towards the road. Armored men lined the way for as far as he could see. I don't see us getting through today. Orn got his things together for the trip back down. I don't see us ever getting through. As the rest began to file down the crowded trail, Karen hesitated. They seem more agitated than usual, ever since that last group of messengers came through. Some of those townsfolk look pretty haggard, Ralph observed. You don't know what you're talking about, Fanghorn complained. Damn couriers are always stirring shit up. I can remember there was this one who really pissed me off about 3 years ago. Gave him a little head fake and... Yeah, Karen cut him off. You gave him so many rights he begged for a left. Stone Clan strong! Dresden started another chant. Halfway through, the city guards approached. They waited until the short lines of verse were done. You folks need to move down the hill. We need this space. Well, thank you for letting us finish. Donald took a step to encourage the others to follow. Karen didn't budge. What's happening over there? Something has changed. Lady, I just do what I'm told. We're trying to move 4 wings of infantry over today. Maybe it's because the cavalry needs room. I don't know. Now back up. There's a nice plaza across the river about 200 feet down. They'll have bards and food, and we won't have to push you back again. If you don't know, who can tell me? Karen pushed. The guard sighed, then stiffened with resolve. Move it, lady. All right, Campbell, you watch who... Fanghorn flexed, but Karen turned and got in his way. Simmer down, Big Dinger. We can't fight our way through this one. She noticed Dresden was already moving down the slope, grunting and cussing as he went. Do you still have that parchment? Dresden asked Donald once they got settled below. A few looks and some bullying encouraged a squad of Legend Clan spearmen to give up their table. We're writing letters. If I can skiff some people around for a few days, maybe we can get through. At least we'll be able to keep our rooms. Donald didn't argue. Hey, boys. Hey, sexy. The barmaid winked at Liz. What's the word from up there? Some folks say there's more happening than usual. Just another day. Orrin handed her a silver. She waved it off and set glasses of decent-smelling ale in front of them. In Parncilia, she'd likely been topless at least. Here, she was buttoned up tight enough to show her feline curves. Orrin was happy to see them, but it was a conservative show by his standards, nonetheless. I'd tell you if I knew. He understood the drinks were a bribe. Lizard shit, Karen cut in. It's something. We just don't know what. Some message came through the gates, and they got all excited. The waitress leaned in. Don't tell anybody I told you for free, but we had a paramilitia here for a few nights. They weren't moving over for days, but they got called up less than an hour ago. She winked again and left. Karen paced. I fucking told you. Fanghorn downed the ale. Oh, it doesn't mean anything, I tell you. Remember that one I told you? Those were the last words Dresden ever heard come out of Fanghorn's mouth. Trumpets cut him off, first from upslope, then relayed down the river to the lower parts of the city. He stood as the whole city began to surge. A Campbell, passing by at a sprint, translated the call. It's the gate! The gate is under attack! Stay with me. Dresden was up and moving, leaving his packs, mace and shield, at the ready. He led the way. He was knocked left and right by bigger warriors, but being small had its advantages. The creases of the chaotic crowd were his path, running between legs, straining to fight past one warrior after another. He kept an eye on his friends. Halfway there, Donald was still with him. Dresden was certain he'd seen Orn as well. From the panic, he'd half expected to see fighting at the upper levels, but so far, the threat was contained to Vool. By the time he was making the final push to the gate, he had lost all track of his friends. The rush of warriors, steel and flesh, it was a river. Hundreds poured through the magical conduit, but thousands rushed forward. Forward to glory, forward to war, forward to a new beginning. Like a trout swimming downstream, he was in the current, blasting forward. "Leave!" he cried as he struck the wall, an arrow passing through the smoke. Tarikia's wet dimness gave way to the all-encompassing light of a new, blazing sun. There goes our hero. Will he find the war he wanted? I guess you'll just have to wait for next season. No, you won't. Of course he finds his war. The Iterians are a real threat, and our little hero will single-handedly... Well, that's not really true either. Mostly he'll do chores around camps, but I'm sure he'll get into a scrap from time to time. Honestly, I'm not really sure. Jumping into the YouTube time machine at the time of this recording, Volume 3 is only about 14,000 words, and most of that is just some notes and basic outline. Damn, anything could happen. By the way, I lied about some other stuff too. There was never going to be a test. Everybody, level up. If you've gotten this far, you deserve it. Now, I don't know if you're listening because you just needed some noise to fall asleep to, or maybe you like some of the nuts and bolts stuff and accidentally played the tale. Maybe you're genuinely into it, but I'll be honest, this is a hell of a story. We get spoiled on media today with all the fancy animation and cuts from high-budget movies. This series will probably never have that stuff. We're lucky my wife is such an amazing artist, or you'd just be staring at a blank screen and listening to my voice. Speaking of me chattering, that's enough of it. I have work to do. Volume 2 isn't even ready for Kindle yet. There's appendices and introductions and all that other stuff that you're never going to read. Even my low-quality production takes a fair amount of work. I want to thank you all for stopping by. You didn't have to listen, but you did, and I appreciate it. Do that stuff. It matters now, just like it did at the beginning of the season. Hit like, subscribe, comment, tell your friends, and I will see you all for Season 3. I'm Lewis Nichols, and I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. What's the word? A parrot squawked from his branch deep in the Tarikian jungle. Now, parrots, speaking a language of Leto, is normal enough. Less so for a spectral mammal entirely unsuited for jungle life. Despite its ghostly form, the wolverine looked hot and cranky. A record number of youth chose the life of a warrior this year, she reported. Indeed, this is wonderful news. A higher percentage as well? The wolverine rasped, due to more women telling the rest to fuck off. Who's the most promising? A boa constrictor wanted to know. My bits are on the centaur, Zosimo Zeitgraven, the wolverine answered. The parrot laughed. Hardly a bold choice. Zosimo is well past his Starkenfang. If he can have Zosimo, I'm taking Chief Greg. A turtle craned his neck. Alright, I believe what our scaly friend was asking concerns our usual bet, the parrot said. You have to pick a rookie. We haven't declared a winner for the pot since the owl chose Pink Eye of the Stone Clan. What's the point? The wolverine continued to complain, and he's been impossible to deal with ever since. The owl or Pink Eye? The turtle chuckled. The boa hissed. Fair on both choices. The girl on Cadiz would have been a good choice before she was killed, the wolverine offered. Her name was Leave, and not many her age are. As we expected, there's a lull after the questers began to withdraw from public life, the turtle stated. Dorian Miles, of the Doomed and Gloombringer of the Stone Clan. They're two good ones. Ah! Irving's whole house, really. His children are strong as Gloombringer, the parrot argued. There was a discussion of many heroes, most of them with several years of fighting to their credit. Finally, the last member of the assembly spoke up. If nobody's going to be brave enough, I will. What odds do I get on a dwarf just starting his second year? No odds, the Wolverine growled. Well, that's fine then, but I plan on being just as insufferable as the owl was, if I win. Let me tell you about this kid I talked to in Camberg. He might just turn out to be a good one.